Hey, it's Jeremy from LATT SEO. In this video, I'm walking through 5 strategic SEO approaches and how you could rank for HVAC ductwork supplies and imitate this strategy for basically any keyword or phrase you want to. And the reason why I'm looking at this keyword specifically is because if you look at the search volume for HVAC ductwork supplies, you see there's about 1,000 searches per month, and the top ranking website is getting over 2,000 visitors to that page on their site every single month. So there's massive opportunity for this keyword alone. And I wanted to share a couple of data points I see in how basically any competitor in search could implement one or multiple of these strategic approaches to rank better and get more traffic. So to get started, the first would be to target local and commercial intent. And the reason why this is interesting is it depends obviously on your business structure strategy and whether or not you are working to rank locally. But in general, if you were to optimize pages for specific local terms, location-based terms, then generally speaking, it's going to be easier for you to rank in those areas because almost always there will be less competition for those terms. The other strategies then for implementing this would be making sure you have a Google business profile that is set up and optimized and verified correctly. And then again, you can focus on these long tail terms. So commercial ductwork supplies, Chicago, commercial ductwork supplies, Los Angeles, whatever the city is, and make sure that the information within those city pages is optimized specifically for those areas as well. And then social proof, if you have local testimonials and local case studies, projects, things like that, all great opportunities there. Now, the majority of time, my guess would be that you're probably not interested in just focusing locally, and that's fine. In that case, then there are 4 other strategies here you can look at to work to optimize this. And I'll show you exactly what should be done with content to give you the easiest chance possible to rank for a keyword like HVAC ductwork supplies. So strategy 2 would be dominate the technical specification content. And again, you can piggyback these strategies together. You can implement multiple of these at the same time to have a massive content resource on your site to help people who are looking for what you're doing and potentially have questions about how you can help them as well. So for this strategy, then the primary key phrase, HVAC ductwork supplies, has very low difficulty. Now, again, I always mention this with a grain of salt as well, because the difficulty metrics are a little bit different depending on what tools you're using and don't always necessarily mean the term itself is easy to rank for, because a lot of times difficulty is measured based on how many links are pointing to those individual pages. So in that case, then again, if we go back here, if you look, you can see this domains column is how many links are pointing to the page itself. And if we look here, the first site actually has 0 with a relatively low DR. Then we have Supply House has 5, Lowe's has 4, Indoor Comfort Supply has 1, nothing shown here for Southern Pipe, 59 for HVAC Wholesale Direct, and so on. So in general, it's showing that you don't need a ton of links, but there are cases where, again, this is not the only metric and not an official metric for ranking. There's so many other factors at play. So just keep that in mind. But in general, if you were to build all of these types of content pieces on your site here, like a complete HVAC ductwork sizing calculator or spec sheets for all of these different types of ductwork, rectangular, round, spiral, interactive tools, and target related terms like HVAC sheet metal. It's going to make it easier for search and AI to understand that you're an expert in this category and makes it easier for you to rank. Next strategy then would be to focus on the broader ecosystem keywords. And these keywords, similar to the second part or the last part of this strategy here, the HVAC sheet metal terms and things like that, focusing on terms like AC ductwork, HVAC sheet metal, metal ducting, ductwork AC, and building, I've talked about this numerous times on my channel, building category pages, dedicated pages for each product type with detailed content, optimized content, and then detailed specs about all of this. And secondary, and additionally, building in that FAQ section content as well. Comparison content, build comprehensive product comparison guides and selection tools, and then application guides here as well for the residential versus commercial or any other information that would make sense to have on your site. Strategy 4 then, build authority through an educational content hub. And this is similar to, again, some of these kind of overlap as well anyway, but we have strategy 3 here would be capture the broader ecosystem, and this would be build authority through educational content. So building those both together, and if you have additional educational style content, it's very likely that you're going to build additional authority and prove to search and AI that you're an expert on these topics, which then makes it easier for you to rank for these topics too. So again, create a comprehensive HVAC installation resource center, expert level content. And this, you can do content with AI to help you write an outline, and then have somebody who is a professional installer on your team or yourself create this content. And again, make sure that it's professional, well-written, and makes sense, and not just AI slop content. Installation guides, develop step-by-step detailed install guides with specific product recommendations and troubleshooting tips. Calculator tools, again, these can be huge for generating interest and awareness, and also being helpful for people. And you can't see this because of my video. And then conversion strategy, target informational keywords that naturally lead to commercial conversion through strategic content placement. And again, as always, the point is to get traffic and be ranking for terms that make sense for conversion. And then lastly here, strategy 5 would be wholesale trade or focus differentiation. And essentially what this strategy means is building on your site, a trade portal. And what this would do is allow you to, what you would do is create dedicated trade or contractor portal sections with exclusive access and specialized features. This is a little bit more detailed, and something that, unless you want to build this as your primary business model, I probably would not recommend this. Bulk pricing tools, these can be very helpful, especially if you're targeting wholesale style key phrases here like this one, HVAC ductwork supplies wholesale. And then contractor specific terms, ductwork supplier near me, and similar contractor focus keywords. And then volume relationships, build strategic relationships for volume discounts and project-based pricing structures. So again, some of these elements would be things that you would have to either have these already implemented in your business or want to have a focus like this for something in your business. But otherwise, there are lots of resources here to work to build certain elements from each of these different strategies here that I've outlined. Now, lastly, what I want to do is show you, let's pretend that you want to rank for HVAC ductwork supplies, and you don't have that page on your site, nothing is optimized for it, and you want to rank well. So here is exactly what I would do if I was starting from nothing and I wanted to rank for HVAC ductwork supplies. I would first go to Neuron Writer here, and I've shared this tool a number of times as well. I would put the term in, and what this does is shows us then the top 10 ranking sites in Google for this term. And we click next here. And what this will do is give us the expected word length and all of the expected H1s, H2s, and keywords and phrases to use within the content to make sure we're optimized best for a keyword like HVAC ductwork supplies. And after this runs here, we get an idea that we, first of all, don't need a lot of content here. It looks like there's only 156 words of content on average, the top 10 median. The number 1 ranking website has a content score of 63, and the highest of all on page 1 is an 82. So here is what I would do next. Add in a title, and you can generate a title to start, HVAC duct supply, sheet metal for HVAC ductwork. This adds all of them in here. But again, if the keyword is HVAC ductwork supplies, I might do something like this instead. So we'll potentially lose a little bit of juice from here. But again, the primary key phrase is HVAC duct supplies, or ductwork even. So let's do that. And then we'll generate a description here. Find HVAC ductwork supplies, including sheet metal for ductwork. Shop a wide selection of HVAC duct parts for your next project. I think that's a decent title and description here. Save and close. So now we're getting a little bit further along. Now, what I would do is go to these H1s, and because the primary H1 or the term I want to rank for is HVAC ductwork supplies, I would very likely want to include that in the H1 of the page I'm building. But for terms of, or sake of doing this, what I'm going to do is copy all of this into, actually we'll copy the H2s, because H1 I want to be HVAC ductwork supply or supplies. So I'll go into ChatGPT or any language model writer, and I need an article optimized for HVAC ductwork supplies. H1 is HVAC ductwork supplies. Here are the H2s, H3s to use within the content. Use them strategically and make the content optimized extremely well to rank in AI and organic SEO. And then there's the H2s. Also use them naturally. You can use a phrase that includes the word, the target word. All right, so there was that. And then go to Neuron again, and we'll go to the article section here and add these keywords here. Terms with suggested usage. What this is doing is this says the word duct should be in our content between 1 and 35 times based on the average of the ranking sites on page 1. And then same thing here, HVAC should be 1 to 13 times and so on. So if we go to GPT here, use these keywords and phrases naturally throughout the content with the expected range usage of times. And then we'll go extended here, terms and uses, and paste that in. Now, again, it says here that we need 156 words only. The 10 URLs selected from the top 30 median is 972. So I'm not sure why there's such a big discrepancy there. But in this case, I would probably do something like 500 words, right? A 500 word article. And if this ends up being, the 500 words ends up being extremely over optimized or unnecessary, then we can reduce that content. But again, if you look at how we can structure this on a page here. So again, if we have a category style page that we're building this for, I've talked about this numerous times too. The easiest way to do this, if you want to have a lot of content on a page, is I'll go to actually the top ranking site here, would be to have the H1 or title of the page at the top, maybe a little bit of overview, a sentence or 2 or 3, and then have all the products or additional product categories. And then at the bottom of the page here, include all of the additional content. And you can do this in a number of different ways where it still looks like it's not just a wall of text. You can have accordion dropdowns where there's the title of the section. You click on it and then it drops down more content. You can also do that with an FAQ section as well. So that would be a way to get content on the page to help you rank for additional keywords. And again, the reason why this is such a valuable process is you don't want to just rank for HVAC ductwork supplies. You want to also rank for HVAC ducting or HVAC ductwork supply wholesale, things like that. You want to target additional keywords and phrases, and without having additional content on your site, it makes it much more difficult for you to rank for this. So write a 500-word article, extremely well optimized, and from the perspective of an HVAC professional. And then when this is done, what we'll do is copy the full article back into Neuron here, see how our content score looks, and then we can work to optimize this even further if we wanted to. But this is what you could do if you had no content on your site about this, didn't know where to start. That would be the way that you could do it if you had no idea about how HVAC ductwork supplies work or anything about the industry. If you do have some understanding about the industry, you could instead use all of this information within Neuron here and build an outline instead. And then you could manually write the content and not use AI to write your content. But that's up to you. And then thirdly would be to just completely do it yourself with this data. And you don't need to build an outline. You can just look here at the recommended headings to use and build out the content and outline all by yourself manually, or have somebody on the team do that. And then you could, again, accomplish and still use these factors here to make sure your content is optimized correctly. So then I'll copy all of this here and paste it in, and we'll see what happens with the content score. 19 to 85. So pretty good there. And we are now higher than anybody on page 1 and higher than the #1 ranking site in Google for this term. And again, we could optimize this even further by including HVAC, or like here, if we want to do HVAC duct systems and key materials. That gets us up to 89. And then you can look here, part, elbows, bends, and transitions, elbows, bends, transitions, and other parts, something like that. Would include part here, get us up to 91, and so on. Again, doing this and getting the best score here possible doesn't necessarily mean or guarantee you're going to rank better. But what it does is gives us an idea as to what the top ranking sites are doing, what keywords and phrases they're including, and what we need to do to reverse engineer, replicate, and then do it better than them. So we have a chance at ranking better in both search and AI. Hopefully you got some value from this video. If you did, subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. And I plan to continue posting more content like this, sharing exact strategies and implementation for B2B SEO, whether you run an industrial company, manufacturing, anything within those categories can likely benefit from these processes and these strategies. And that's it. I'll see you in the next one.